couch potatoes, feminists and chauvinists, give a warm welcome to Simone Vasarlos and our special guest, Nadia Tolokonikova and Sergio Adler.
So what are we going to do? We're going to talk. And we're going to talk, I think it said on the invitation, it said that it's going to be like zomergasten. Not really. I mean, there's drinks, so if they want to drink, that's there. But otherwise, we're just going to have some fragments of videos of their work, and we will talk from that on. Nadia, welcome. Nadia Tolokonikova was part of the controversial street art group Riot, and later pursued Riot evolved. In 2012, she and two other members, Katja and Maria, were arrested for hooliganism motivated by religious hatred and sentenced to 2 years prison. I think it's yours, yeah. And this, ironically or not, raised international attention, this trial. Nadia studied philosophy, and while in prison, she corresponded with philosopher Slavoj Zizek, which resulted in a book called Greetings, the prison letters of Nadia and Slavoj. And more recently, she wrote Anleitung voor een Revolution, How to Start a Revolution. And it will be published in Dutch and in English, I think in 2017, so we'll look forward to that, because it's a report on her time in prison, as well as a tip list, kind of, how to start a revolution. We might come back to some of the tips. She is the co-winner of the Hannah Arendt Prize for Political Thought, and after release, Nadia has started her own NGO, Media Zona and Zona Prada. Do you see that?
Yeah. Not just NGO, but media outlet.
Media outlet.
No media agency, which for some weird reason became quite international in Russia. Not just because we don't have a lot of competition on the market, independent media voices in Russia, but yeah, these are one of our main projects right now.
And this media outlet. Zona Prada is about the prison system.
Yeah, Zona Prada is about prison system. We're pushing for reform of prison system, but we're working with lawyers and provide some direct help to prisoners.
I think we might talk about that if we have time, because we have to do that fun. Friends, of course. Very short introduction for Sasha Adler, because I couldn't find her on the internet.
That's a good thing. That means that I'm doing everything right.
You're doing right there. You're wearing a balaclava.
Yeah.
This is the only time I'm going to say balaclava, because I think it's a really difficult word. We're just going to say
You pronounce it perfectly.
Yeah, balaclava. And you're doing it because you want to be a nun.
All of the members of the Pussy Riot movement were also wearing balaclavas. It probably doesn't make any sense for Nadia or Masha or Katya to wear balaclavas at the moment, because their identities were made public against their will when they got arrested. I still have the privilege to keep my privacy and keep my place in the times.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, but I already finished my trail of thoughts, so there's nothing more to say. But thank you.
And that is also because you have a job. Like when you're flying tonight, and you haven't been found out yet. Because when I googled Sasha Adler, I only got some posts on yesterday, and on somebody, a lady from Chicago, showing her home, and it was definitely not yours.
It's funny because people always mistake my name when they write it, but it actually kind of coincides with my goal. So that's okay, I don't mind to be named like any other name. People called me Sasha Adler, Sasha Globova. People thought that I'm Masha, people thought that I'm Katya, and that's perfectly fine with me. It doesn't even matter who I am, so that's okay.
I don't think this is a perfect name for a porn star.
Pussy Riot kind of seems like that too, though. Should I check? No, this is okay. I think we should start, just to make sure, if you guys want something to drink, let me know. We'll arrange it. Maybe another beer? If somebody Somebody? I'm sure somebody will do this. Okay, I think we should start with the beginning, or at least the beginning of what Pussy Riot became known of. And we should watch a little bit about, of the punk prayer in 2012, which is after which you were arrested and the trial that got you so well known internationally. Just to freshen up our minds, I mean, maybe everybody still remembers. Can we? I was just going to ask you, do you ever get tired of watching this back? But then when I hear this, I didn't dare to ask this.
I didn't watch it right now, but I noticed that actually it is like the sound is not so bad as I used to think. I mean, right now we're trying to work on music, and I thought like what we've done before was quite like was sounding like a fail, but actually I love it. I didn't hear it for a while. It's not like I'm hearing my own music.
Can you say something about this was 2011 or 2012? And in 2011 the times were quite different. There were more demonstrations going around in Moscow and Russia. Can you say a little bit about the time then and how this came to be?
We started with Red when we got news that Putin is going to be the next president. So at that time we had Dmitry Medvedev as president, who being just puppet of president. Like Putin was actually in power, but you know all these games which they had to play, it gave us some hope that we could change something, and at least we will not have Putin forever. And then they just came up with this news that Putin will be elected. Before 6 months, before official elections, they just announced that Putin will be the next president. So they officially told us that they don't give a fuck about their opinion. I couldn't sleep for 3 days. I'm not the type of person who wouldn't sleep because of exams or because of love or about something else, but because of political reasons I couldn't afford myself not to sleep, so I didn't sleep for 3 days, and then later I came out of the house with my friend Katya, and we expected to see raging crowds on the streets, but actually we saw just usual peaceful life. And we had a feeling that people didn't get what are about to happen. And right now people in Russia, they understand. Like everything went super fucked up when Putin decided to go for a third term. But back in the days, when these guys just announced this fact, it wasn't so obvious for everybody. So we decided to just put on masks. And the decision was to put on colorful masks because we didn't want to appear as cops or terrorists. We always wanted to be colorful, bright, and we wanted to bring happiness. Sometimes it's political happiness, which is weird, but we wanted to bring happiness. So we've done our first action in subways and in Moscow transport system.
How did that go?
It was fun. We've been arrested every time when we made an action, they arrested us, they put us in police department from 2 hours to 10 hours. But because we wanted to be superheroes, it was our concept. We didn't want our faces to be revealed. We didn't want to be in the news with our faces, so we didn't report. We didn't tell journalists or human rights workers that we've been arrested, so we had to deal with policemen by ourselves. And when we released that video, we said like, oh, you could do whatever you wanted in the center of Moscow and nobody will arrest you. It wasn't actually truth, but we wanted to empower people. And yeah.
Was this different later on? The trial, when you were arrested for this punk player, was the trial something that was made you public immediately, or did you decide to make yourself public, as you're saying that beforehand you didn't want to be known?
I was trying to deny that I'm Pussy Riot when they caught me, and it was my first court event. So they brought me with its handcuffs in the cage, and I was like, no, I'm not a Pussy Riot, I'm a different person, like, it's different identities. And then I just realized that people understand it as I'm afraid of admit that I was in that church and I'm Pussy Riot. And I was like, stop, I don't want people to think that I'm afraid of that, because actually I'm afraid of being revealed as Nadia Tolokonikova. I wanted to be anonymous. So I had this internal fighting, and then finally I understood that I have to admit that Nadia Tolokonikova and that girl in yellow balaclava is the same person. And that's how it started. So that's why right now I don't wear balaclava anymore, because it's a coquette thing to do. Like, when everybody knows your face, like, pretend that they don't know, it's not honest. But I wish
they wish you were
I wish I was anonymous, yeah.
Yeah, and you just mentioned Katja. What happened to the others that we see in the video? Are you
Katja, since prison time, she didn't want to be so involved in the activity of Pussy Riot. Masha still doing her things. Yeah. We founded this project, media outlet and NGO together.
And when you're saying that back in the day people didn't know how bad it would be, that Putin would be president again, there are elections coming up. Do people realize now?
I think they realize with each day more and more, because when Putin didn't care about economy at all, so he just enjoyed that we had quite high prices on oil and gas, and he didn't work on economy at all. So right now, when all that prices started to fall down, our country is running through a huge economic crisis, and right now people are facing a lot of troubles. Like they just cut off. They had electricity cut off in their houses or in kindergartens or in schools. They don't get paid anymore sometimes, especially in provincial towns, like in Moscow and St. Petersburg, it's not so bad yet. But people understand that crazy politics of Putin has some consequences, and when Putin annexed Crimea, everybody, not everybody, but mostly people praised Putin for doing that. But later, they started to realize that this foreign policy could bring some changes, and not really good changes, to their everyday life.
But then the Pussy Riot protests seem to be more about revealing social values or wanting to change social values?
I think in Russia it's all connected.
Okay.
And the fact that the church is very connected to the state, despite the fact that the state proclaims itself as not connected to any particular religion. We still learn from experience and from living in Russia that the church is very connected to the state, that the economy is very connected to the church and the state, and parts of the government that shouldn't have any intersections at all work closely together. And people are starting to realize that. People are starting to realize that the root of the problem is the centralization of all the powers in two hands, which
Did
are
you know
hands of
about
Putin.
Because you only joined this Riot, I think, 2 years ago, was it right? Maybe. Did you know about Pussy Riot when
Of
before
course,
that?
I knew about Pussy Riot,
Yeah.
and joining Pussy Riot is a very theoretical thing.
Why?
Because we've always said and we strongly believe that Pussy Riot is not a band, it's a movement. There are a lot of people, not only in Russia, but especially in the post-Soviet states, and then maybe in some other countries who share the same values, who share the same aesthetic, and who fight for the same things, and we don't even have to know each other personally. We don't need to shake hands to do the same thing and fight for the same values.
So there might be Pussy Riots in the room without us knowing.
Might be you.
It might be.
And any one of you, yeah.
I think we should go to the next clip. It's a clip of the video I Can't Breathe. And it's not the most recent video, but it's the one before that, 2015. I think it will show itself. Well, you should see the rest of the video too. So this is a clear reference to the Black Lives Matter movement. I don't remember his name. Was it Eric?
It was Eric Gardner.
Eric Garner in New York City.
Yeah, it was with some cigarettes on the streets, and policemen were trying to arrest him, and they just choked him to death.
While he was saying that he couldn't breathe, but they still pretended they couldn't hear him and continued choking him.
And that's where the I Can't Breathe comes from. And it's your
It
first...
was his last words. He just kept repeating that, and they didn't pay any attention.
And the police are still trying to portray it as an accident, but it was a clear murder.
And you were also involved in the producing of this video?
That one, no.
Because how did it come about?
It was in New York, and we worked with several great musicians, particularly with Lenny A, who is a long-time collaborator of Patti Smith. And we wrote a song with him, I Need a Revelation. And then we just came out of the studio and found ourselves accidentally in the middle of rally. We obviously knew about what's going on. We knew about the case of Eric Garner, but it was something like, it was a sign that we had to take part somehow in this case. It wasn't obvious for us because it's another country and we're not from that country. But when we found ourselves in the middle of that rally and we saw that people who were raging, they were extremely upset, if I would say in politically correct terms. So next day we joined our forces with Nick Zinner from Yes and with music producer and musician Andrew Bett and Russian band.
How did you decide, for example, there are some elements that are quite clear? Do I?
Yes, sorry. I forgot everyone could hear me.
So actually it was a singer from Siberia whose name is Sasha Klokova, and she was mixed with Sasha
Yeah, it's not a problem. That's a compliment.
You have to be careful because I think there are some people speaking Russian. So if you think that you're not,
No, we don't have any secrets.
but there are some elements. I mean, there's a cigarette pack there, and there's the homo here. How do you decide how subtle you're going to be? How subtle do you portray your message when you make a video? Because there's small, like how far do you go? Do you make your activist message immediately clear? Do you work around?
We're trying quite hard to find that type of cigarettes.
It's a Russian type of cigarette.
It's a Russian type of cigarettes, and it's called Russian Spring. And this is the name of Russian invasion to Ukraine.
Yeah.
When they invaded, Russian troops invaded to eastern Ukraine, they called it Russian Spring, and then they started to produce that cigarettes.
And then, is it something that how explicit do you want to be with your message when you make a video? You see that?
I don't know.
Do you feel like it's an immediate explicit message to all the viewers that see a video? Or?
I think it depends on the purpose.
I don't know, you never know what they will think.
Yeah, I think what you're asking is the format, and we're not probably thinking as much of the form as of the end goal. So that is probably more important, so this is why the format always changes.
As you probably noticed, that I'm not the type of person who will think about consequences.
Yes, definitely no.
So, I mean, I am not the right person to answer on that question. And when I'm doing art, usually it's more like psychotherapy for me. So I just find myself in the middle of some question. It could be political question, or it could be personal question, or it could be question of, I don't know, gender equality, for example. And so then I'm trying to do something with that. And I mean, sometimes people could like it, sometimes it could put me in prison because of that. But I'm really, really bad at figuring out what consequences will be.
I see that. I think we should start the next clip because I have a question that relates to this. It's your performance in the House of Cards, the series. I'm sure people know it. Shall we just watch it?
Yes. I'm so delighted you could be with us. Thank you so much for coming, Mr. President. Слишком давно не сидели за одним столом.
Виктор Иванович, вы обсудили закрытые части переговоров, те вопросы, которые мы просили вас поднять?
Мы обсуждали много еще.
Но те вопросы, которые вы обещали обсудить именно нам, вы обсудили? Was anything on our list discussed?
Why don't we take a photo first? What up? Huh?
There's, I think, another scene where you pour some drinks over Putin.
It's over now.
So how is it, I mean, when you started, it was very clear that you wanted to have like an anti-capitalist message, but now you're in House of Cards.
How was it clear, actually?
Wasn't it clear?
I mean, we had, but I'm just wondering how was it clear?
Because I think one of the things that you said that when Madonna, for example, or some American pop stars gave their support while you were on trial or when you were in prison, I think there were statements put out that said, okay, well, we appreciate the support, but we have an anti-capitalist message and we only perform illegally. And this changed. If I look at the House of Cards and if I look at you performing with Madonna, I don't know what the tickets are, but did you consciously make this decision to change and to work together more with American artists or more pop culture?
I have nothing against pop culture. I didn't perform with Madonna. I don't think that I will have a chance to perform with Madonna because we kind of not the best relationships with her.
Tell us about this.
I ended up in the House of Cards because I met Bob Williams, who's creator of House of Cards, and he's like a badass leftist, and I mean, he's just destroying American political system with that series. So you could do it on many levels, and you don't have to. Like, what I don't like about some parts of left culture in the West, but it happens sometimes in Russia too. So people try to invent for themselves some set of rules which they have to follow, and it turns to be well, something like leftist fashion, and it really bothers me. I think there should be people in left movement who are open to a lot of things, and if you really want to change something, if you really want to break and blow people's minds, you have to be open to new things, and sometimes these new things could be super unusual. Like, for example, several months ago I spoke at libertarian lecture, at a libertarian conference, and it was so unobvious. Like, why would I speak at a libertarian conference? But I showed up there in a Bernie Sanders t-shirt, and I spoke with them about like how I hate the greed of pharmaceutical industry of the United States, and I told them like why I would support Bernie Sanders, and most of them didn't like it. The organizers of that conference, they hated me in the end of that speech. But I mean, I think if you really want to bring your ideas across, if you want to be heard, you have to go to the places where your voice is unusual, where your voice haven't heard yet.
I think that the problem is that a lot of people think in terms of extremes and binaries. Some people think that you're either leftist or you're right-wing, you're either a socialist or you're either liberal, and for some people there's a very clear defined line, which actually doesn't exist, and communication and politics and progress would be much more effective if people wouldn't be afraid to listen to someone else and, I don't know, maybe even take somebody else's ideas and transform them into what they would want to do.
Probably, yeah. But I really appreciate what Beyonce has done in information video. I think that's amazing. She brings the idea of Black Lives Matter. She's trying to bring the idea of feminism in mainstream culture, and I appreciate it. And I would admire every mainstream and pop artist who would do the same.
I mean, you're already sort of trained that you're using multidisciplinary ways to get your message across. If you even have a message, like I don't want to tie you down to that. And since you can give lectures, but you're still using art. And what makes art so specific or so important to convey your activism?
I think the question that we probably should start off with, what is art and what isn't art? And this is a very subjective question as well. Sitting here drinking beer might be already art, and it might be just sitting around drinking beer.
I'm sure they call it art here.
I've done separated actually too. I think maybe at some moment we will combine it more than they're combining it right now, because it will be too boring just speak on the stage, sit on the stage and speak.
What about because I think in a way in Western Europe, you can say it like that, which is already defined, the idea is that often you hear the idea that politics and art are separated, and this is something you really...
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay, we just leave it to that. It's just weird.
Everything is art and everything is politics. Let's just agree to that.
And the importance of internet. How does internet come in? Because, I mean, you definitely have to accept that your personality is out there. You're Nadja. You're not the anonymous balaclava woman anymore.
Like me.
Mm-hmm. Like Sasha. How do you use this? How do you use the personality culture out there?
I don't know. I'm too dumb to think about it. Actually, I'm just sitting quietly and doing some music. I'm working on a new album, and I try not to pay too much attention on social media, because I think sometimes it's better to express it in the art, so it will be a more long-term thing. So I'm not really separated right now on the internet, and partly because I see what's going on in United States, for example, when they have like internet almost for everybody, but they still like half of the country would vote for Trump, and like how why, and it creates a lot of frustration. So
The internet
I'm
is
not
kind
so
of
sure.
overrated.
Huh?
The internet is kind of overrated
Yeah.
because you have this free access to information, but people still choose the information that is most accessible to them personally, that is more beautifully illustrated, that is everywhere, that is on banners, that is on every website you go to. So the internet is important, and it's important to talk about it, it's important to talk about its effect, but it's still the same thing that happened with the cinema, or with the theater, or with newspapers. People were like, oh, now we have a TV, how will our lives change right now? Probably the young people will be corrupted and start, I don't know, doing extreme things just because they have all this access to free information. But it doesn't matter as much, it's just a means to accomplishing something. It's just a technology, it's just a tool, it's like a hammer. You can use it to do whatever you want to do.
And I'm sure you also appreciate, in a way, physical support more, in the sense that we talked about this yesterday a little bit when we were at Black Cross, that you said that, well, I mean, we might not have the same popularity in Russia as we have in Europe, for example, but when you actually support us when you are in Russia, it's a lot more dangerous, or at least more difficult to support.
It could be dangerous, and especially when everything was quite loud and our court process was going on. It was really dangerous for people to take part in rallies and even in solid protests for Pussy Riot. So, I mean, what could I say? It was kind of a miracle for me when I was sitting in prison and I saw that all these people risking their lives or their education, because some people been disqualifying, accused with disqualifying, fired, expelled. Some people were expelled from universities just because they supported the Pussy Riot. So they actually had a lot of things to lose and they lost.
It's clear that you don't think about consequences, but Sasha, how is it for you in the sense that you ever doubt joining Pussy Riot?
The
She
thing
was
is,
seduced
by you.
no, I seduced you. Let's not confuse how it went.
Sorry about that. We should have this later.
No, actually, the thing is that there's a saying in Russia which goes that Russian laws are very strict, but they're very opportunistically applied. For example, there is a law in Russia, it's law against extremism, and one of the things you could get persecuted for is for liking a post on Facebook that would be considered extremism. And it could be as well like actual extremism, but it also could be someone writing on Facebook, "Putin, please die," and you press like on it, and if the moment is special for the government, they might arrest you for it for a number of months or years. And this is what makes it weird. You can go in the middle of the Red Square and hold up a poster that says, "Putin, please die, I want to burn down the Kremlin," and nothing happens. But then you can like a post on Facebook and you get arrested. So this is why fear isn't a factor anymore, because arrests are random, persecution is random, so you don't really think about it. I mean, it doesn't even matter what you do. It means if the government wants to make this a statement at this particular point in time, or it doesn't care about you right now, it has other issues to attend to.
Save lives as well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So all people arrested their stomachs. They just
Yeah, it's true.
shit happens.
Yeah,
Are there tips in your book about becoming a stoic as well?
I am stoic, yeah.
So
It's really the Russian thing.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes it's hard to people from outside of Russia to understand like, what they're doing, what we're doing, but
It's hard to say what it was. What I had to. I have to say.
sometimes it's just a question of language. I had so much fun with that English phrase, enjoy yourself. I mean, like every day, like, did you enjoy yourself? Yes, 3 times today. And then I told like all my friends that what does it mean actually? Because like for Russian year, it means just jerking off, just that. And so
Did
right
you
now,
enjoy yourself on the boat ride today?
yes, it was infiltrate.
Yeah, I was watching the whole time.
Speaking of jerking off, we actually have a video that that is about enjoyment. Can we
You see
start
why it wasn't me? Because I was about to release a
the
video.
other one? Yeah. Sorry, what did you say?
I was about to release video. The name of my new album probably will be Balls Deep in Pussy Riot.
Balls deep,
Balls Deep in Pussy Riot.
balls deep in.
So yeah, I'm in the
Pussy Riot.
process of doing some video teasers for it, and I'm joking off during that a lot.
Great. When is it out?
I don't know yet. I mean, I have to work hard.
Very
So
hard. A
hard.
lot of hard work. Can we start the yeah? Not this one. There you go. Okay. This is from Orange is the New Black.
That's just another Tuesday night, you know.
Sorry.
Just another Tuesday night.
I know, right? Yeah, I don't have to explain what this is. I think one of the things in your book is do it with a woman. I think this should be pluralized. But I think, I mean, I'm not just putting this out there. It's called Sex in the Chapel, the actual fragment, but there is quite some sex in your Anleitung, or your how to become a revolution, or how to start a revolution. One of the things is, for example, one of your inmates, your prison, how do you say that? Your fellow inmates? Yeah, your fellow inmates. She hurts,
pretty good, yeah.
she hurts her finger and she's worried about it because she needs her finger
Yeah.
for other things that work. So that's quite clear. But also, I think one of the things that was very interesting to me, because we can talk about sex, but maybe we can do that after, is that you. I'm gonna get some things. We can do it now too. But I actually have a quote from your book. I can paraphrase it, but it says, to be fair, the time when you are in love in prison should not count as part of your sentence, because prison stops being punishment. Everybody knows this, and so many prisoners look for someone to fall in love with. Later on in your book, you also say things like, why don't I leave Russia? I live here, I feel here, I fall in love here. Don't run away, fall in love.
I have discovered that it's possible to fall in love outside of Russia.
Yes.
Yes.
I also learned about that.
Yeah.
Was it Amsterdam? No. Okay. No. Too bad.
It was all around the world, but
So you don't have to stay in Russia to fall in love.
You
But
don't have to say anywhere.
I mean, I just like I constantly try to reconsider my own prejudices, and I thought I paid too much attention to borders when I wrote that. Like when I wrote that, I meant that like I couldn't fall in love outside of Russia. It means that I put so much attention to this fucking government border. But why should I do that? And then I forced myself to fall in love outside of Russia. It worked.
does activism need love though? Because you also talk about, for example,
It's very lovely. We were talking about love since we woke up, and
Our conversation on the boat was about love because they were like, could we just take you on a boat and make a interview about love? And I wrote them back that they will have naked ladies with the giant strap-ons, maybe. But then I showed up there and it weren't naked ladies.
just
it were-
one guy.
Yeah, it was one guy. And
There were some ladies, but they weren't involved,
No.
which wasn't supported somehow.
But then how?
So then we
Yeah.
figured out that we couldn't find out what is love because we couldn't download Siri or how is it called?
Yeah, we can ask Siri what love is, and no one of us knows what love is. But we reached the conclusion that love is overrated.
It is.
It should be talked about, but it shouldn't be talked about as much. And there's this very toxic belief that people only become angry when they're not loved enough, or if they don't have someone else to love them.
And you are definitely showing that that's not true.
Well, in the end,
But
we
still
reached the
angry.
conclusion that it's important to love yourself way more than it's important to love someone else.
But I mean, the letter writing is called commemorative greetings. And one of the things that I have another quote, and it says about this you write it, and about deciding on the punk career. And you say, we were in love with each other with the love that suffuses everyone involved in major emancipatory social movements. So it seems like a social movement needs love.
I don't think that we really have enough time because it will be a seminar with some practice for 7 days if we will talk about love. Yeah, we can schedule that. So anyway, it's weird what you would call with one word, like so much type of relations. So you would call love to your mother, to your kid, to your motherland, I don't know, to your shoes, and to the guy or girl you want to fuck with. So that's why word love means nothing to me actually. So that's why I have to invent all these words which will start to mean really when I was 75. I need to reinvent this time.
Okay, so fuck love. Let's talk about sex.
Perfect.
Usually you are, right? I mean, like the garbage kiss, which was one of the you came up to a police officer and you kissed a police officer. Then yesterday we talked about with the Black Cross, the Zwarte Cross Festival. There was a naked run a few years ago to support you, and you said, nakedness, freedom.
Yeah.
How is nakedness and freedom related?
I don't know, I just thought that I like naked people and I like freedom. I don't know how they're related, but when they are related, I love it.
I think that it just means that people are connected with themselves and love themselves enough to show their body to other people. They don't feel self-conscious, they don't feel timid, and that's a very rare thing, and it's also a very important thing when you think that you as a person and your body as just your physical body is good enough to show to someone else. It sounds trivial, but for some people it's very difficult to do. For some people it's hard to get naked in front of their lover, and of course it's very difficult to get naked in front of strange people. So that's a very important border to pass.
You need your body for a revolution. I think we should listen to Diana. Where is she? She needs my microphone. I should see. Oh, there she is.
Een brug ergens op aarde, althans ik denk dat er op aarde is, elders ben ik wel geweest. Een kerel kost over de kade, een doos koopwaar hangt voor zijn buik en weer zijn er pistolen. In het licht van verkeerslichten ziet alles eruit als in een film. Een doodskreet gorgelt over straat, gordijnen worden verschoven, monumentale maskeraden storten in. Welkom in een wereld van verval, achter klemmende deuren, afbrokkelende grotten, waar de vloeren nog dragen, maar plafonds als zandlopers de tijd laten zakken. Lang gerekt gouden klacht, echo tegen de glazen wanden van leegstaande kantoorpanden, in uitgewone kleren marcheren illegaal over vochtig wegdek. Een politiespieler schalt over straat, zwaar door ruiterwerk wordt gas gebruikt. De burgers snakken naar adem en zuur vreet steen en vlees. En op tv wordt een man in elkaar gestort. Bloed druipt uit zijn mond. Zie de zachte gezichten van jonge soldaten zich nog voelen bij moeder voor het laatst leven thuis. Geboren voor de liefde, maar een bonkende borstkastcent is vormt tot een tikkend radenwerk van een wekker vol haat. Tijdbomben die op springen staat. En in Europa zit een vrouw voor een kerk op een muur. Een bruidspaar poseert. De camera registreert een brochure van de Ligusterhaag die erachter staat. Een kale haag, een dode takken, de verte schijnt er doorheen. Daar gaat weer een wagen vol jonge jongens op naar het front. Hun helmen glimmen, hun uniform kreuken van nieuwheid. Vuisten geweld voor de voorgespiegelde vrijheid op weg naar de dood. Een zuster verbindt een voet op een akelig donkere avond. Een man met een misvormde snuit in een overvolle ziekenzaal. Een afschuwelijke ziekte. Half verrotte koppen komen hier binnen. Een amorfe gezichten. Kinderen vergiftigd door botheid. Oude vrouwen zetten hoofdschokkend kaarsjes bij een Maria-schilderij. Bij een meisje wordt een kennende vleesklomp geboren. Iets onbekends, met kleine tandjes. Maar het is me zat, ik wil niet meer horen van oorlog die bastisch of komen gaat. Er is geen oorlog dan de angst die ons bewustzijn bombardeert. De angst die onderdrukking in stand houdt. We kunnen elkaar al miljoenmaal vermoorden. Maar ik wil niet walsen op die dans van vernietiging. Ik wil horen over vrede, redelijke vrede. Voor de aarde, de natuur en de mensen. Klaterend water, vogelgekwetter, ruisend gewas en de klank en ontelbare ene. Ik voer geen oorlog meer, donder en bliksem dan de oorlog die ons allen en de aarde bevrijdt. Ik wil geen wapens dan ontwapenende woorden, geen wetten dan verzen van vrijheid.